Today in New York, heavy downpours are hitting hard and fast, threatening to flood the evening commute and slow everything to a crawl. Hey everyone, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Leah. Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett in New York City.
First up, the weather is not playing around. The National Weather Service, that's the federal agency that tracks storms, has a flood watch up for our region. They're calling for rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour, with totals that could hit 4 inches in spots. When rain falls that fast in the city, drains and underpasses back up, and low-lying blocks can become rivers.
Real talk. That much water that quickly puts stress on everything. Roads, subways, basements, you name it. Coordinated responses matter here. We're talking city agencies, transit, utilities, and emergency teams all moving in sync to keep people safe and keep power on.
Transit-wise, NJ Transit, New Jersey's statewide bus and rail system, suspended or limited several rail services after more than 50 trees fell on tracks and overhead wires. That's a lot of debris to clear. Closer to home, a stretch of the Belt Parkway in Brooklyn was temporarily closed earlier because of flooding, so plan extra time if you're driving near the coast.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Con Edison, the electric utility that serves most of the city, reduced voltage by 8% in parts of southeastern Queens and asked roughly 163,000 customers to conserve power. That might sound small, but an 8% dip is like taking a little pressure off the grid to keep the whole system stable. Also, over in Ocean Township, New Jersey, the roof of a BJ's Wholesale Club, that's a big box store, partially collapsed under the rain. 27 people were inside. 2 were briefly trapped. Thankfully, no injuries. That's so wild. Why do they do those voltage reductions, though? Like, why not just keep everything normal until it breaks?
Good question. It's basically a safety valve. When it's stormy and some equipment is stressed or out of service, that 8% drop lowers demand just enough to prevent bigger outages. Think of it as easing off the gas so the engine doesn't overheat. On the emergency front, Governor Kathy Hochul, that's New York's governor, has deployed state swift water rescue teams to Long Island. Those are specialized crews trained for fast-moving floodwaters. If you're heading out, avoid driving through ponded water. A few inches can stall a car, and a foot can move one. That checks out.
Okay, let's move on. Next up, the historic heat we just had. From July 1st to the 4th, temperatures hit the triple digits in parts of our area. New York City reported 3 heat-related deaths, and New Jersey reported 29. Most were found in homes without air conditioning. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. City officials opened cooling centers, which are air-conditioned public spaces like libraries and community centers, and they extended pool hours. Emergency rooms also saw a spike in heat-related visits. Public information campaigns really matter here. Clear reminders about hydration, checking on neighbors, and recognizing symptoms like dizziness or confusion can save lives.
Totally. And just to put it in perspective, extreme heat is a quiet killer. The city estimates it contributes to about 500 New Yorker deaths each year. It doesn't grab headlines the same way storms do, but it's more deadly. And as summers trend hotter, climate change being the long-term driver, this is something we have to, plan around.
Not gonna lie, that number hits different. If you're looking for quick moves on the hottest days, limit outdoor exertion in the afternoon, use fans with open windows at night to bring cooler air in, and head to a cooling center if your apartment is sweltering. For folks who might be isolated, a text or knock can make a difference. That's a solid point. Next up, a tough one. A new report on New York State prisons by WilmerHale, which is a major law firm that conducted an independent review, lays out escalating violence and systemic problems across the system. The report runs about 277 pages. One stat jumps out. Pepper spray usage went from 124 incidents in 2014 to 4,758 in 2024. That's a massive change.
Let's unpack this. Pepper spray is a chemical irritant used for control. It hurts eyes and lungs. A jump like that suggests not just more incidents, but possibly a shift in how force is used. The report also says there's a degraded culture and low morale among corrections officers, meaning workplace culture has eroded. Lawmakers responded with measures for more oversight, which is basically formal monitoring and accountability, and more camera installations to capture what really happens.
There were also very serious incidents in 2024, including the murders of 2 incarcerated people, Robert Brooks and Messiah Nantwi, by guards. And earlier that year, there was an illegal corrections officers' strike that led to a lockdown, during which 9 prisoners died. Even after reforms started, staffing shortages persisted, and National Guard troops, soldiers typically used for emergencies, were deployed to fill gaps.
Here's where I get stuck and honestly kind of shocked. In 2024, there were nearly 1,200 complaints of excessive force, but only about 40 were substantiated. Why so few?
A lot of these cases come down to evidence. If there aren't cameras or reliable witnesses, it's hard to meet the proof standards. That's one reason the new camera rules matter. There's a note that in 2025, after some initial reforms, excessive force complaints fell about 42%. It's a start, but culture shifts take time.
We've got layers here. The report is basically saying the issues are systemic, not just one-off incidents. Long-term cultural change, training, supervision, accountability, and workable staffing needs to stick. That's the heartbeat of it. All right, on to the next, and it's a public health alert. There's a Legionnaire's disease outbreak on the Upper East Side. 18 people across 3 zip codes have been infected. Legionnaire's is a severe kind of pneumonia caused by Legionella bacteria. You get it by breathing in tiny water droplets, like mist, not from other people.
The city's health department is testing and disinfecting cooling towers. Quick explainer. A cooling tower is part of a building's air conditioning system that releases heat by sending up water mist. If the water isn't properly treated, bacteria can grow. High-risk groups include folks over 50, smokers, and people with chronic lung disease. Symptoms are fever, chills, muscle aches, cough, and trouble breathing. If that lines up, call your doctor.
Most of the cases are tied to people who spent significant time in the area in late June. Inspections started around July 2nd, and the advisory to monitor symptoms went out July 6th. Here's a twist. It can take weeks to pinpoint the exact cooling tower, and sometimes they can't find a single source at all. Why is it so hard to find the exact tower?
Aerosols drift, timing is tricky, and multiple towers can be shedding at once. By the time people feel sick and get tested, the original water conditions might have changed. That's why regular inspections and maintenance are key. Prevention is much easier than chasing a moving target. Last up, a dramatic scene that ended well. A seaplane, specifically a Kodiak 100, made a hard landing into the East River near FDR Drive and East 23rd Street around noon on July 5th. All 8 on board, including 2 crew, were rescued by the NYPD. 1 person sustained minor injuries.
That's something to be grateful for. The Federal Aviation Administration, the national agency that regulates air travel, is investigating. A wing strut snapped. That's the structural brace that helps support the wing, and it led to the emergency landing. Seaplanes are built to handle water operations, but they need meticulous maintenance because water landings add extra stress. What a twist, but kudos to the crew and first responders. So there we have it, full circle on today's Big Local Stories.
Thanks for tuning in to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett here in New York City. Have a great day, and be sure to join us again tomorrow.